Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a f***ing name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness.
Hey, what's up? Pinworm's here.
Hey, Pinworm, thank you. And that's I'm sorry, I've been talking all day. That was a great intro. Where'd you get it?
YouTube creator Studio Music. Yeah. It's hold on, I got it here.
No, like we tried to do one, but then when we went live, and it was fine when it was like not, because I uploaded it as a short to see if it was going to like be controversial, and it was like, no, everything's fine. And then I put it in my video, and it's like, oh, you can unless you take it out, it can never be monetized. And I'm like,
so there's some, whenever you look through that list, there's some, and they'll have a little dollar sign beside them, and they can be either publicly licensed forever, or they can have a revenue sharing where whatever money your video makes, they take part of it. There's different ones, but that was a free one, and there was actually.
I swear to God, it said it was free.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I even with Happy Uncle Weasel, I was just like, hey, what do you think of the song? And he looked it up and down. He was like, oh yeah, this is great. And I don't know, it's whatever. I'm sorry.
I think that intro's too long sometimes, but I have to say, I really wish I could play the whole song, because that song is awesome. Yeah. It's a really good song.
It's because like right now I'm at the end of a long day at work. I was like running payroll and stuff, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a bop.
Yeah, it always gets me in the mood to do the video. Like I may not be feeling up to it or something, and then once the music starts playing, I'm like, all right, that's a good song. Like, yeah.
Do this.
But Pinworm, you've been a member for 4 months now. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And hey, Michael Bell, your book will be there tomorrow. I ordered it, and they said it would only take a day to get to you, so you'll get that tomorrow. I picked a list of music, like 10 different songs that I really liked, and was trying to figure out how to use them. And then I used a site called Canva to kind of put it all together.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. I just used the free trial long enough to get that put together and dumped it.
Right. I hear you.
That's how you do this on a budget.
I'm saying, though, Big D, goodness.
Yeah. Well, glad to see everybody. We, of course, have Maya here with us today.
Spooky, hi.
Maya is over, where's it at? There it is. There's Maya's channel. And there's also a link in the description and stuff too. So I think we pretty much have a lot of the same audience. You have a bigger streaming audience than I do, but
yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I think it's just because of how late we stream, honestly. When everybody else goes to bed, it's like, what's on? Well, I don't dislike Maya.
I don't think it's like that. I think that, number one, your show, Bad Science Sundays, is a good way to be able to approach pseudoscience topics and stuff without really taking them seriously and giving them breath, you know?
Right.
And I think that your show balances that really well, which is awesome. And because, like, if I tried to do a show about, I don't know, water fluorination, let's say, the only way for me to do that would be to like show the stuff and then treat it like a serious subject and talk about it, where you guys have, you're just set up to the way you guys did the show, you're just set up to kind of poke fun at it and have fun with it and talk with it. And you get the audience involved with it. And it goes really well. Last night was the first show that I've missed since, in several weeks. I haven't been watching it that long. I had heard about it several times. Whenever I first got to doing this, I remember I was talking to Ember, and she was like, I got to go over to Maya's and do Bad Science Sundays or whatever. And I was like, what's that? And she told me a little bit, and I was like, well, I was doing something, and I just forgot about it after that. And then whenever I started seeing you pop up in the chat and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. And I went and checked it out, and I was like, oh, I love this. The first time I watched it, I became a member over there and was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch these.
Ember was, well, I memean, she's watched us before we were monetized, but yeah, she fell in love immediately too. Really honored, like she just flows right over, and people were like, well, you don't have to wait for Maya, and she's like, I don't want to miss it though. And it's kind of reciprocal where, I'll be getting ready for the show and listening to her show, and then she flows in, and she used to stay a little bit longer, but now she has to be up early. So I think that she would stop streaming anyway around the same time just because she has to be at work in the morning.
Yeah. Ember was one of the first other creators that I met when I started a channel. And I was over at the line for like the RFR fundraiser last year. And I had just started my channel and made a couple videos. And I think that's when that first televangelist video started blowing up a little bit. And Ember went and looked at my stuff and was like, got a hold of me and was like, you kind of have potential to do this or whatever. And, or do you plan to like live stream and stuff? And I was like, no, not right now. And I didn't for a long time. And, when I first started live streaming, it was a disaster. It didn't go well at all.
Such is life, right?
Right.
The live stream gods hate us all, believe me.
Yeah. It was, my computer kept dragging, and I was delayed, and nobody could hear me, and roboting, and all those good things that come with StreamYard. And
it reminds me of Godless Granny when she first started doing streams. She kept dropping from her own streams.
That happened too. There was like 20 minutes of my stream I wasn't even in.
Yeah.
I think my first stream was when I hit 500 subscribers. I streamed. And but like I said, a lot of that was on the back of one video. And but when that video started to blow up, once it got to about like 5,000-6,000 views, my other videos, because I had like three videos that were all called Scum of the Earth, and they were just televangelists grifting people, and me pretty much just cussing about what pieces of shit they were. And once the one blew up, though, the others kind of started to follow and got 5,000-6,000 views, and I was like, well, that's cool. And then people wanted to talk to me and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll do a live stream. $5 from Pinworm for no particular reason. Hey, that's my favorite kind of money, Pinworm, the kind with no strings attached.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I've heard you say before that, like Blessed Be He and stuff, you think that she's funny and all that stuff.
I think she's hilarious.
I get on, like, for that show, like, it's kind of, she kind of went out of her way to attack me last time I was there because I blocked her.
Oh, yeah, she'll do that.
Yeah.
But she does it. She's done it to almost everybody we've had on, like Nitty, Ember, Jay. Like if you've blocked her, she'll come into my channel and ask you about it. I hope you didn't feel attacked.
No. And I didn't take it seriously, first of all. I'm kind of used to that. Usually they attack me with no provocation whatsoever. So
right. Yeah, no, she's good for that. I don't know. I gained somewhat of respect for me because I haven't blocked her. So now I can, I feel like I can just be me around her and like, yeah, like stop being such a rancid bitch.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, okay, Maya.
Well,
not a lot of people get away with that.
So my issue with Blessed Be He and why I gave her actually 3 chances. I blocked her the first time for calling people Nazis, and I blocked her the second time because I let her come back and she started doing the exact same thing. And then I had a talk and said, look, if you come on, I'll give you one more chance. If you come on and I even see the word Nazi, you're gone forever. It's over. And she came back, and it was during an autism show, and she said, we had a whole panel of people with autism, and she said they were all faking it and that it wasn't a real thing and all this stuff. And I said, later.
Okay, yeah, no, that's bannable even in my channel. I don't know what, I don't know, like Vandy really, I mean, he really likes her, but she hates him. So now he's like trolling her from the stream, and I'm like, you've got to stop reading. I really do. Like I just stopped reading her comments, like during the stream. She's really distracting. So there'll be streams where if it's just me and him, we say it's a Bad Science Sunday, but we're really looking for like questions from the chat. Like, what do you want to know? We have a topic, but we're really just, and he loves that. Just, talking to you guys. And I do too, just talking to you guys. And so, but he'll do that anyway, just anytime he sees her there. Like yesterday, well, you weren't there yesterday, but he like stopped in the middle of the stream just to put on his clown wig. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, BBH must be in the chat. Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you're like, she's in there calling people Nazis. I'm like, that's hilarious. She's probably the biggest Nazi in the chat. What was the impetus? Like, what was going on that she thought that a bunch of leftists were Nazis?
It all started with her just saying atheists are Nazis, and that
okay, no, that makes sense.
And I was just like, well, at first I was like, okay, don't do that, and she received several warnings before anything like that. And I don't there's only 2 people that are banned forever that I won't consider unbanning ever. And Behe, I'll probably end up unbanning her again in the near future because I don't dislike her. I just, when you're saying things that are mean to the guests that I'm having on, though, I can't have that.
I don't tolerate medical misinformation. I've had to tell her a couple of times, like, just like before you even get started, just stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing that gets me too, is like, just don't do that.
Yeah.
We talk about anything you want. And I told her the same thing that you've told her. I said, you want to come on here and talk to me and state your position sometime, you're more than welcome to do it anytime. Just tell me when and you can come on. I even told her I'll stream on a day I don't even plan on streaming for you to come on. And
I told her, I was like, I'll do a 4-hour stream. Fuck it. You want to come on? Let's do it live. And she won't. It's like, well, I have these kids. It's midnight, bitch. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
But whatever.
That's
whatever.
Funny. Yeah.
I mean, she's not going to come on and, do anything. She just likes trolling from the side chat, which is, I don't know. I find it interesting. Most Christians won't. Even when, like, I remember, you're thinking about Praise and Jill and, like, they all had, like, there were certain atheists that they'd be in their chats, but that's because they had, like, some kind of like a Discord relationship that, and they're coming to see them, while they're live or whatever, or maybe they pissed them off and, on Twitter, and now they're following up or whatever. But it, you don't see people like that just outside of like, your random P towns or who shall not be named. And when they but blessed be he in P town, they're really interesting. That they like hanging out with atheists. That's not
Missing Maud's another
normal.
one, but she's different than others.
She's different, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't come into the chat to troll. She's not trolling for Jesus,
I think that, and she may or may not see this, but I think that Missing Maud will be an atheist in the future, honestly.
I would settle for old Earth creationist, honestly. I don't understand the YUC. Now, she's been very honest where she's like, I haven't really put a lot of thought into it. They told me X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, what, that's fair enough. I believe in, as a Catholic, I believed in whatever the nuns told me. And I just happened to luck out that, Catholics, that I was Catholic, and Catholics don't, I don't know, look down on science. But if I had been something, but I could have just as easily been something else. And I'm just reading books. And I believed whatever they said. Now, as an adult, I have a very different reason for, believing in, the Big Bang and, evolution. And, I've looked into way more than I ever did. And, middle school and high school, I believe that I can't have a conversation with a young Earth creationist and like talk them out of their view. Like, I'm not that well founded in the science, but I'm looking at both, and I know enough to know that one makes no sense. And I get it. Like, most Christians aren't young Earth creationists, and no.
That's kind of I didn't think it was unique, because around me they all are pretty much, and very much so. Growing up here, it was the church, the pastor would stand up there and talk against evolution. It was very much a Kent Hovind type thing. In fact, I see people that I went to school with and stuff post like, Kent Hovind is preaching the God's word and all this stuff, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Do you not know who that is? And they're like, oh, Kent Hovind's great, and I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, but not common in most places though that people are young Earth creationists. There's a lot. I hear a lot of, they like to say like evolution is the tool that God used, or
that's what I believe.
Yeah. And that's fair enough, whatever. Like, there's no good reason to think that, but, whatever.
The Bible says that God did it. It doesn't say how. So if you want to know how, then, there's science, but I don't know. That's what we thought.
Yeah. No, if you want to accept the theories and stuff that science puts forward, and then say, well, I think science is how God did it, I don't even really have a problem with that at all. Like, I would still say the same thing. Like, why do you think that a God did it outside of the Bible tells you he did? When there's all these
my mama told me that God is real, and my mama wouldn't lie to me.
Yeah.
That's actually what my ex-husband said to me.
Yeah. And there's this thing about angry atheists. They think atheists are always angry about everything. And I was kind of angry for a while, like, because I know that there was people who knew better that told me lies. So I was kind of upset about that, but not to the point like it really mattered at all. That's a whole nother thing. My favorite one is you just hate God and want to sin. That's my favorite. That I get a kick every time I read that. I'm like, what?
What do you call it? I was always around people who didn't ignore the world around them. That would take facts and like mold the Bible around that so that, what they were seeing made sense. I never
Yeah.
really went through an angry phase because there wasn't anybody who was just blatantly lying to me.
Right.
And even like a lot of people I've heard, they were like, my mom and my dad, they lied to me. And I'm like, they thought they were saving you from eternal hellfire. Like, I remember talking to a girl I worked with in my 20s, and she was looking into Buddhism, and her mom was freaking out. And I remember thinking, yeah, if my kids aren't Christian, I would feel like I failed as a parent. Like, you had one job, and it was to get your kids into heaven, and you failed. So yeah, to feel like a failure and to lash out. Like I remember thinking, I like siding with the mom and thinking like, yeah, I know exactly where she's coming from. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking back, I'm more proud of the other girl for looking into other religions. I think
Yeah.
that's admirable. It's risky, and a lot of times as a Christian, you won't allow yourself to do that because looking at other gods makes God mad, and you don't want to piss God off. So just read your Bible.
Right. The I've seen a lot of I don't know. There was like, I mean, evolution was the thing that definitely broke me from the young Earth creationist view, because I used to believe
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, I thought, I'm going to church, these people are telling me the truth. That pastor up there is somebody important
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
knows what he's talking about. Turns out it's just another guy. But like, I always thought that, and evolution was the thing for that. But like, as far as like theism in general, and the idea that no gods exist, or that I don't believe any
Mm-hmm.
gods exist, uh, it was really just looking at all these various religions and the different things that they believe, and knowing that they all can't be right, and but they can all be wrong, and especially whenever it's only one of them can be right to the exclusion of the others, and I can't find one that gives any good reasons why it would be right, so for me that's the simplest way I can put it. There's a little bit more to it than that, but
Right.
um I actually I don't know. I'm not what you would commonly define as an anti-theist person, but I'm very much I don't know, anti-religion maybe would be a
Mm-hmm.
closer way to put it, like anti-church. I think that there's
Like organized religion, or
yeah. The organized religion just seems to lead to corruption, and the further we go with it, the worse it gets. It just it allows for all these awful things, and the for me, like the whole idea, the question I asked is, so you have an atheist here, and a person who's done the worst crimes against children, murdered people, robbed, all these horrible things. He can say, I'm sorry, and go to heaven, but this one can live a perfect life and go to hell. Like,
mm-hmm.
that doesn't make sense. There's no reason for that to make sense. That isn't anything to do with a God that cares about you being a good person or anything like that. That's a God that cares about you kissing his ass. And that's just not, I guess it's my authority issues.
I mean, it says a lot about the values of the cultures that created the religions, right?
Yeah. I don't think that all believers are bad. I don't. I think that most believers intend to do good with their belief, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the things that people do that are bad with it that I don't care for. The
People
you
do bad things with everything. I
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, No, I'm far from an atheist. When I look at the things that bother me about organized religion, it's more of like the people, and it's people are being people. Um, what is what bothers me are the people in charge, the people that people blindly believe in, and we do see that people are going to do that. With or without religion. So I'm just like, if it's not this, it'll be something else. What we need to teach is like critical thinking. And I I don't know. You could almost put a pin in it right there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. Like I've seen so many people where it's just like, well, like I don't know. I don't know what to think about this, or and what they're saying is I don't have the information. I don't know where to get to look for it. And so I'm just going to listen to somebody that I trust.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be it. The excuse me. The way that I've always looked at it is religion says that it has all the answers right here. This is the way it is.
Right.
You don't have
right.
to ask any questions. We have the answer.
Right.
But if there's one thing that I know for sure about the world around us is that it's continually changing and we're continually learning more about it. And for a group of people to say a couple thousand years ago, we've got the answer right here, to me is just silly. And especially when they were wrong about so many different things. And actually, Christianity isn't the worst offender in that area. I think Islam might be, especially since the Quran is not the inspired word of a God, but the actual word of God. And that
nice. Is it really?
Yeah, that's what it says, is that because the Bible was supposed to be inspired but written by man, so it was subject to certain mistakes by man because they had to explain things in the context of their time and blah blah blah, stupid apologetic.
Well, I mean, with the errors that were in it, I said the errors. I mean, they weren't errors, but contradictions. I mean, it's really hard to say that it was God breathed because it's easier to say that they were errors than to just be blatant and say they're contradictions.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like when the actual word of God. I mean, there's a lot of Christians that think that the Bible is the actual word of God too. So
sure.
I mean, there's that. I don't know. I mean, I think that it will never. I also we will never do this. I think that we need to get money out of politics, and I think it'll be a lot easier to get back to a curriculum that puts critical thought into our children. But right now, we just don't have it. They have no interest in doing it. They want that religious mindset where it's like, trust this charismatic guy. It's so much easier to corrupt him than to try to influence all of you. If I can just get if I can just corrupt a few people who will go out and lead you guys, it's so much easier than me trying to, influence all of you on my own.
Yeah. I've spoke out a lot
this is
recently.
The state of the world. But I think we're going to still have that corruption we're still going to have that corruption with or without religion, which is why I'm not an atheist.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
And I'm not saying that anybody should follow me or do what I say or be what I am.
At the end of the day, this is how you feel about it. It's not
right.
Just as I say that, I think that these holy books that pretend to have the final say so, and this is how it is, and I'm telling you everything you need to know, I wouldn't look to any person for that either. No matter what position they were in. It's not a good way to find out the truth of things. And if you're interested in the truth of how the world works and the things around you, it comes to a point where it's not necessary to ever invoke a God. And until I get to a place to where I'm like, well, we really need a God to figure that out, that's probably where I'll be at,
Right. Yeah,
But
no, not knocking you. Not saying, I mean, I listen to a lot of atheists. I understand where they're
yeah.
coming from. I think the
And I think you're right. I think the corruption isn't it's not necessarily part of religion. It's not religion that causes the corruption. I'll put it that way.
right.
People are corrupt in every social group. I mean, you're
Yes.
in fact, that's kind of how you measure the good of it, is by looking at the bad side to see, where that's at. And that's unfortunate, but it kind of has to be that way sometimes with certain things anyway, not everything. But I do think it's crazy. And I've been talking about this for a while, is that I feel like the Christian nationalists and the religious right wing anyway have very much accepted the tactics of organized religion to try and convince people, especially with the we'll just keep repeating a lie, and no matter, even if we know that people know we're lying about it, we'll just keep doing it because they're either too lazy to look it up and find out, or it's easier just to listen to what we say. And I feel like they've gotten some of this from religion. It's sometimes
It's human nature. It's not, I mean,
yeah, maybe not.
it's the nature of propaganda. Like we've known this
Yeah.
for, I mean, and we've been doing this with and without religion. I mean, and a lot of what you're talking about is stuff,
I think it happens anyway, but I think religion just had the playbook written out for them. Maybe they've tried and tested these things, and
I don't know that it was just religion. I think that we're seeing it in religion right now. Like when I'm thinking, like looking back on history, I mean, a lot of it was just political. There's been a lot of political propaganda, and I mean, all throughout history, they've been using religion to get to the people because it's what do you call it, the the path of least resistance. If you already have this thing that people trust and believe in, why not infiltrate that, or use that? Like I'm thinking of one of the things I remember hearing about was Cleopatra, when she had her son with Julius Caesar, and she was trying to get the people to accept this baby from this outsider. And so she had her let's say portraits or murals of herself, like huge, of like herself as Isis, and him on her lap as I think it was Horus. And he's like the next coming of Horus. Horus is within him. He is he is to be your king, and is the incarnation of Horus, and he used to be your king. And so you should worship and adore him, and not try to kill him. And it, I mean, it's just, I mean, I say that one is, I mean, because I'm not a big history buff, but I mean, and that's not even the only time that we've seen stuff like that. I mean, it could go on and on, but I don't know. I feel like it's more political than it is religious. And you get shysters, whether it's was the Jonestown, or whether it's
Jim Jones,
or whether it's Gwyneth Paltrow trying to sell her vag juice, like and they use the same tactic.
No, you're right. They do.
Buy Kool-Aid.
Maybe it's not the case that maybe it's not the case that they're adopting the tactics of religion. Maybe it's just the case that corruption uses these tactics,
Yes.
And I think that's an acceptable way to look at it too. I'll have to think about that a little bit more, but I don't think that that's really all that different, honestly, but I do.
It's not.
No.
The human brain wants things to make sense.
Yeah.
And it wants things to make sense as simple, just simple as possible, which is why so many people hate science. Science, it's not intuitive. It's difficult to understand. I really have to look at, if I want to figure out, just not even like the Big Bang or the cosmic or the CMB, like how does a star work? It's not an intuitive thing. You want to just like light a match and be like, hey, when I do this happens. Like that's how our brains like, just simple. And the more complex things are and the less they are intuitive to us, the more we're likely to want to make a conspiracy theory out of it. And conspiracy theories are just our brains looking for things to make sense. And, so a religion, and, there are people who take advantage of our brain's propensity to want things to make sense or to like things, to get that dopamine hit. Like, yes, I like to smile. This person says thing that make me smile. Take money, give me thing that make me smile. Like, we're just,
Don't tell everybody. That's what we do here. But no, I agree with you. One of the crazy things that I seen is because I'm sure you've heard me speak of it before because you've been around here, but I was a drug addict for many years. And one of the weird things that I noticed was I became an atheist as I was getting off drugs in the end of it, I guess, the last couple of years. And I've been clean for like 10 years now. So it's been a while back.
Congrats.
Well, thank you. And, but one of the, like, when I would look at how people got the same feelings from religion that drugs would give you, like you're still looking for that dopamine hit, like you said, and it was really kind of scary to watch once I understood that, because once I quit doing drugs, I seen so many people that were going through drug programs, and they would say, "Oh, I got clean because of the grace of God," and blah blah blah, and if it wasn't for God. And I would always say, no, man, like, and not because I'm an atheist, but just because accountability is such a huge part of getting clean. And, you have to take accountability for the bad things you've done, but also the good. And people wanted to put that on God. And then whenever they would screw up, it allowed them to take accountability off of themselves. Well, I wasn't doing the right thing and God, didn't help me. It allowed them to do that. And I just thought that was such a horrible position to be in. Like, but I seen, like, it was kind of scary to see that people were getting the same high off of church that I was getting off of shooting heroin, like, it's weird. But,
I don't know. I mean, I remember going to church because it it satiated the guilt. Like, God wants you to go to church. So when you're not going to church, God's mad at you. I don't want God to be mad at me. So I guess I'll give him, my hour.
Yeah. Right. Well, I was very much Southern Baptist, and that's how it is in Kentucky. But they're all about that. Like, you come here to feel like shit about the things you did, and we're going to tell you where you're going for doing them. that was pretty much church.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how many times, like, we used to sit and guess how many times the preacher was going to say weeping and gnashing of teeth, because that was like his thing. And we would 3 or 4 times a sermon at least, but
jeez.
Yeah,
I don't know. In the North, it's different. They tend to be like feel good Christians, like not necessarily prosperity gospel, but they want to hear about God's love. They don't want to. I don't know. People up here, they don't like feeling.
How far north are you?
I'm in Maryland.
Okay.
But I was born and raised in Illinois.
So, are you familiar with Hillsong?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think Hillsong was one of those top places where it was all about making you feel good, and we're going to give you good music and tell you what a rock star you are. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, and I get that. Like I understand that.
Yeah, and it's let's think about all the mansions we're going to have in heaven, and how happy we're going to be once all these heathens are away from us. And yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right. You're from up where they filmed The Wire.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorite TV shows ever.
I couldn't get into it,
The
but
first two seasons, anyway.
yeah, no, I hear it's a phenomenal show. I just it was too dark for me.
Yeah, no, it is, but again, I kind of have that past tie into that where
Yeah.
for me, like I used to watch, like, even whenever I was getting high, I would watch things like what's that show where the Intervention,
Hmm.
which goes to some really dark places in a lot of
Hmm.
them, and
Hmm.
um, I think sometimes I watched that to make me realize my life wasn't as bad as theirs, which is awful and selfish, but
You are
I
where
don't
you
know.
are, right?
Well,
And I'm not
it's
saying that to be like, oh no, you should feel bad. I don't. I think that a perspective is healthful, healthy.
well, I don't know. I mean, it's just you can't like when I say that I used to do something when I was on drugs and stuff. That's
Mhm.
like there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, my life was built around getting more drugs. So
Right.
anything else I talk about doing was just, here or there. It didn't really mean much. I have 20 years of my life that amounted to dog shit, like where all I did was cause problems and harm other people and do awful things I shouldn't have done that I'll spend a lifetime being sorry for. And it's you don't I don't know. I don't have the same perspective as most people about things. Like I have a really don't give a shit attitude about most things, like, and it's just a result of that. And it's unfortunate that it's that way, but um, sometimes I have to use things for selfish reasons. YouTube
Um,
YouTube is very much a selfish pleasure for me. So
just fine. I mean, we have to pay attention to ourselves, right?
yeah.
Which
Well,
I think that yeah, I mean, it can certainly be toxic. I mean, we have this like toxic individual society, but I also think that I mean, you have to pay attention to yourself, but I think that we do it in ways that aren't necessarily helpful to to our mental health, and which is a side conversation. I wish you wouldn't be so hard on yourself, um,
well,
for
I
the
think
way
that
you used to be when you were under the influence of a substance. It's not like you were uniquely evil. You were doing the same thing that other people in your circumstance were doing. And
yeah.
when you were able to get out of that, you did, and you're no longer doing it. It,
Yeah, no. Uh, uh, I'm thankful to have and lucky to have escaped with my life. And
yeah,
most people don't. Um,
yeah.
it's just, and it's not like necessarily that, like, I mean, sure, there's certain things that I did that if I was to sit and talk about, I would feel guilt while talking about those things. But
Mhm.
like, I don't sit and focus on those things or anything, and I've learned to cope with them a lot better now. Um,
Have you
but
learned to
it's like,
forgive yourself?
huh?
Have you learned to forgive yourself?
Well, I mean, forgive is a strong word. I've came to terms with how it is,
Yeah,
Uh,
I need to do a forgiveness stream, because I find that a lot of people have different ideas of what forgiveness is. And when I say forgiveness. It's like, okay, I acknowledge that and I'll just do it with myself. There are things that I acknowledge that I did that were, unhelpful at the time that they were being done. And I'm not proud of myself when I think about that. I've um, made my apologies, and the other people, they're either going to forgive or not, and that's where they are, and they're entitled to how they feel about it. But for me, I need to move on. I need to say, you know what, um, I did what I did. I learned from it. I'm not going to do it again, and I'm going to move forward having learned that, and I'm not going to let it hinder me moving forward.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think of when with forgiveness. It's not like, oh, what you did was okay.
Yeah.
It's, I learned from that and I'm moving on, and I'm not letting it hold me back.
So for me, those kind of things like that falls under accountability for me. Like,
Well, yeah, it's certainly part of it.
and so I am very accountable for my actions these days. Like, I make sure that that's one thing. Like, if I fuck up, I make sure that I own it, that it's my fuck up, and here's what I'm going to do to not fuck up again. Like, I do try to do that, and I like the way that you kind of explain forgiveness there, because it especially saying, it doesn't make it okay, because
Right.
that's very much how I feel about it. The things that I did aren't okay. None of it's okay, but it happened,
Right.
and I've tried to make amends for the things I can make amends for, and I've tried to um, be a better person, and treat others the way that I would like to be treated, and all those things. Whereas before, I didn't give a shit about any of that. Like, and being accountable for things was the hardest thing to learn to do.
It's
Because
hard. Yeah.
yeah, you very much want to blame the drugs, and somebody else did it, and
Hmm.
you want to scapegoat everything, but take accountability for it. And that's why that's such a big thing for me whenever I talk about this stuff, is accountability. Because um,
Hmm.
even if you don't, even if you're not willing to make the change to fix those things, at the
Hmm.
very least, you can own the fact that that it's not the right path. And
Right.
um, like, I just I keep trying to think of examples, and I'm like, no, don't want to give that one. And um,
I hear
we,
you.
so so we used to hear about somebody over in town. That's a weird way to say it. Where I live is rural, but we're kind of close to some bigger cities. Huntington, West Virginia is a fairly large city. It's Telltale used to live there, Owen,
Hmm.
and it's ate up with heroin and stuff and meth. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people from Detroit that move into Huntington just to sell dope. And
Hmm.
back in the day, we would hear, oh, some people's been overdosing off this dope they're selling in Huntington. Be careful with it, or watch out for it, or whatever. Well, the first thing I would do is say, let's go get that, because I know that's good dope. And um, this does get to a point, I promise. But excuse me. The Now looking back on it, it's like, okay, I was like around all these people saying those things, and now most of those people are dead. And um, so even though it wasn't my actions directly that led to them doing it, they made their own choices to do it. I made different choices and got out of it. But um, it kind of hits a spot where you're like, damn, that doesn't feel good, and you don't want to, and but I want it to be that way. I don't want to be okay with those things that happened. I don't want
Right.
to get over it, because
Right.
those things are the things that remind me of what it can be like, you know. And
Yeah.
if I lose sight of that, then there's nothing keeping me from going back down that road. Is there a light flashing in your house to you too, or is that just me?
Oh, that's weird. No, it does that sometimes. Like it did. Well, it did it once before, and no, there's nothing going on here. I don't know.
Okay, well,
It's got to be something going on with my camera.
yeah, it's probably just where it's like in between being lit and a little bit dark. It's trying to correct for it.
Oh, it's trying to figure out. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah.
It's not a problem for me. I was like, I was watching you when it started, and I was like, she didn't even notice that
Yeah, no, because I have like, let me
because it
see
didn't
if
happen.
this helps at all.
There you go. Yep,
Oh, it
when you
doesn't.
turned it off, it started again. Yeah,
Oh, that's super duper bright.
yeah.
Can I see if that helps for
Yeah,
or
that's
how long that like now I feel like Casper. God damn.
Yeah. You got
All right. But I also don't want to what do you call it? Like start any epileptic fits in here either.
that was
But all right, getting back to it though, I like what Speed says here is forgiveness is like coming to understanding how a thing came to be and accepting it being there in the past, and that allows us to leave the damn thing in the past. And like like Speed gets me. It nobody's gonna. And who was it? Somebody else was talking about. Well, and I was talking about this a lot during the last time you and I were in a stream, where it's just like there's, everybody makes mistakes, and there's, where the hell is this? It's not, pinworm. It's not so many. It's not how many times you fall down, but how many times you picked yourself up.
One more time than I fell down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, somebody said, like, I can't remember where it was, but it's like we learn, we learn the most. Okay, Mark Caesar, we learn the most from doing the wrong thing. Which is what I was saying in the last stream. I'm like, yeah, 100%. I try not to look at mistakes as like, nothing is ever a bad thing if you've learned from it.
Right. And intention has a lot to do with it. I mean,
right.
I think I think a person's intention may even have more to do with it than the actual action itself. Like, if you're trying to do something to be hateful to a group of people, even if you fail, you're still a hateful bigot, right? But
just saying though,
if you succeed, you're just a hateful bigot that managed to piss those people off, right? It's like it doesn't make it any better that you suck at it. It's your intention's still the same. I don't know. It's a strange
failure feels bad, and I think what I hate about our society is like we have these unrealistic expectations. It's like, well, nobody's perfect, and I'm like, I think everybody's perfect, personally. So
we're all exactly the way we're supposed to be.
Right. But like, okay, let's say that somebody wants to be the perfect Joe, right? Like they're going to do a movie of your life. And, would it be a movie where you never did anything wrong and that's the perfect you? No, you're the perfect you, right?
Yeah.
You're always the mark of you.
Right. There's no the person that portrays me best is me.
Right. And I mean, so it's, and then people are like, oh yeah, you're perfectly imperfect. And I'm like, no, you are perfectly you. You're going to have standards and you're going to miss the mark that, you've deemed, like I want to get this job. Oh, damn, I didn't get it. All right. Well, it doesn't mean that you're a fuck up. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just a circumstance, and you're going to get up, you're going to get back out there, and you're going to do what's best for you and your family. There's, I think that we, our ideal of perfection is, not flawed, but like fucked.
I
There's a
agree.
better term for that, I'm sure.
Well, we set these unreachable goals for ourselves that are unrealistic, and our our idea of perfection is based on these unrealistic goals, which is, if it's unachievable, then it's not perfect. It's actually the furthest thing from it. That's
Hmm.
perfect would be the best you can achieve, right? I
Hmm.
guess. Um, uh,
Well, I
I
think
had a conversation about the word perfect the other day with someone else, because it was like, perfect isn't a real thing.
it's an ideal.
Yeah, it's the unattainable goal that you set for yourself. And I think, like, that's really my hypothesis on why
Hmm.
man created gods, is because we seen the flaws in ourselves and imagined a being without those flaws. And the more that we recognized the problems with ourselves, we placed all that in a being that didn't have those problems, and said, surely that being exists. And yeah,
And we
it's a
still
weird
haven't
view.
created it.
Yeah. Well, created is a strong word there. It's doing a lot of work there.
Well, I mean, man, not if you believe that men create gods.
Yeah, right. Well,
But I
thoughtful
love
enough
this quote
about
from
being
Dave.
men
Like, I kind of
created.
want a shirt made.
You want a shirt made?
This quote from Dave. Did you see it? I am
Uh,
me. I am who I am meant to be. I am my past, my present, and who I want to be. I am not anyone. I am not anyone. I am all three. Oh, I am not anyone. I am all three. I am a work in progress. I am a destiny. I am who I choose to be. I am me.
yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that too. That's awesome. Um, I don't know. Like, take for instance, whenever we had the talk a while back after Dipshit showed up at my channel. Um,
Yeah, that was some good learning.
exactly.
I'm really
It's,
proud of you. I
but
can't
for
say that
me,
enough.
the thing that really bugged me the most and hurt the most for me about that is,
Hmm.
I grew up in a society that agrees with that guy. I grew up in a household that was racist. That there was one word for LGBTQ people, and it wasn't friendly. And there was, you know, I overcame all those things, and then to have it look like I'm okay with somebody that supports all those things is that much worse in that case. Because you can
Hmm.
listen to my accent and look at me and say, oh, I can believe that about that person. And that's not who I want to be in any way whatsoever. Um,
Right.
I, I, I don't, I think that at the end of all those little boxes we try to put people in, we
Hmm.
still call them people, and they're all people, and let's treat them like people. I don't, I don't, I don't know. I don't see it the way that I was taught to see it, and to then be put in a situation to where it looks like I may be purposely promoting someone who does agree with those awful ideas that I was raised with, doesn't jive with me at all. That it pisses me off, and then the second feeling is uh, sadness. And
Yeah, I hear you. I
I love what Ember did, though. I have to. That was one of the best interviews I've seen anywhere
yeah.
ever, and that
Um,
includes TV shows. That was a great interview. Um,
yeah, I remember being in Gather with Jay Bundy after it, a couple of days afterward, and like just not doing a Mark Reed type digest, but just like an actual critique in it, like why it was good, like a philosophical like review of it, like
yeah,
um where it's just like, man, it was good on this level. No, but did you think about this level? Yeah, but oh, that reminds me about this level of it.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
where I mean it works in a couple of different levels. And
It,
I know that a few people wanted it to be spicier, but I think that she pushed back um
where she should have pushed back.
sufficiently. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I,
where needed.
I think that I loved the approach of, oh yeah, that's great. I agree with this idea, but here's where you said this other thing. I just that was so much fun to watch, and
No,
I
my
have to say
favorite.
I got a bit of satisfaction out of it.
Oh yeah, my favorite part, man. I really wanted to just jump out of my chair and do like a standing ovation when he was like, "Look, I'm a Republican." I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like you didn't even have to say that. You just like, here's a platter, Nazi on a platter. I was just like, oh, it's like you
Yeah,
got that out of him. He did not want to. He did not want to divulge that. I don't know how she did it. I was like, that was
yeah, because that's exactly
that
what
was
he was
great.
trying to avoid with all this
Right.
togetherness and uh, we need to, and it's true. Like there would be a benefit to atheists coming together, but at what fucking cost? Like,
Right. Right.
what are we talking about here? And you know, the LGBTQ community
Mm-hmm.
is very excluded by religion in most cases. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
me wrong, there's groups that are cool with it, and even the Catholic churches came out and did kind of better about it, but not great. Um,
Yeah, I mean, no, there's been a lot. Yeah, you have the Episcopal Church, the Catholics are giving blessings now. You have the Boy Scouts rebranding and shit. Um, it's they're gaining influence, but
yeah,
we have more work.
yeah, no, definitely. It is good to see that many of them are moving in a positive direction. Um, but at the same time, it's like the reason one of the reasons that you have such a significant number of the LGBTQ community in the atheist community is because of
Hmm.
they've been excluded and hated and treated like shit, and it's just it's not cool, first of all, but
Right.
the
And so then you're going to come here and we're going to treat you like shit too. Like, why?
how,
Why?
how can I sit here and say that I don't like religion or Christian, well, just Christianity. I don't like
Mhm.
Christianity because of the evil tyrant God that was all for slavery and murder and all the things that God promotes in that book. How can I sit and
Mhm.
say that I'm for people being treated as people and all these things, and then at the same time, on in the other hand, say, oh, but these people, yeah, I'll hang out with them, no problem, and you
Right.
just can't have it both ways. And it was the really the hardest part is like it was right there in front of me, and at one part where that douchebag was on there,
Hmm.
I recognized something he was saying was wrong, and I
Hmm.
started down that road, and I think it was Beck who was like, well, um, if you're not actively
Oh,
hating other people and causing harm
yeah.
and stuff, like I get it, like I don't agree with you, but I get it. And I seen him
Yeah.
play both sides of the fence, and
Hmm.
I should have pushed harder there, and I didn't. And that was really the part where I felt like a failure, because
Yeah. No, I feel you there. I really do because there's a lot of pressure just to be conciliatory and not being seen as a douchebag in the community. And if everybody else is like, well, and I've also been the person who's pushed back, and people are like, no, you're being racist, and like
yeah,
I was the only one, and and it, back then I didn't have the words to push back on that narrative where it's just like, no, it's not racist to call racism out. But I now I would do, now I would
yeah,
totally do something different. And
yeah,
like I said, Beck was in a stream with me on Christmas when you probably don't know Skylar Fiction, but he came in and he was lonely because it was the first Christmas without his kids, and I was like, I'm gonna have to be a bitch. I can't. I mean, and who knows when I'll be able to have this opportunity for it. And I wanted it to be just a regular conversation. I'm like, we need to get this out in the open, and I have people who can help me find the words that I need to put this argument together. Like it was me and him and 4 trans people. I'm like, somebody's got to be able to help me out. But I need to get through to him. And it was honestly for me, it was out of love. It's like, you know, friends don't let friends drive drunk or hate trans people. You know,
yeah.
But I think that when it's harder when it's like strangers and they're dog whistling and you're like, I mean, and that's what the dog whistles are for though, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. To
kind of throw you off. Like, why are you being a bitch? Like he was just trying to be nice and, you know, and then you dive a little deeper. I mean, and again, I am not blaming you, but you're in the middle of a stream. You don't have time to do like an hour's worth of research to see that, you know, this guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things for me has been, while I've been an atheist for a while and I've watched, you know, of course, Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Raw and all those big names and things, I've watched a lot of their content. I wasn't part of this streaming community and the community around smaller creator channels. I hadn't discovered those yet. And whenever I started doing this, I would go to, like, just the other day, I was on Missing Mod's channel talking, and somebody challenged me to a debate. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll debate that, whatever. And then I get, luckily, one of the big things I depend on.
What was the debate, real quick? What was the debate?
About the human DNA and chimp and bonobo DNA being 98% the same.
Wow. That's, and you jumped right into that.
Yeah. Well, they were arguing that Tompkins had it right. And I was like, Erica Gutsit Gibbon already debunked this. But if you want me to come and, you know, read over those facts and explain to you why we do the math the way we do, sure. And it wasn't the debate topic didn't throw me off that much, really. I mean, although it's kind of a weird thing to want to do, but Azzo and Robin have been around this community for quite a while, and so usually whenever I do that, I say, hey, so and so wants to debate me, and we're going to try and figure this out. They're like, you need to see this and this and this, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I have to email that person and say, yeah, I was going to debate you, but I found out you're a piece of shit. So that's not going to happen now. Sorry.
And I don't know a streamer who doesn't have at least somebody on hand to be like, you know, is this person worth putting on my stage? Yeah.
And if we don't know them, I've learned from the Matt Dillahunty, you know, thing on MDD, that whenever I plan to have somebody on that I don't know, when I plan to have somebody on I don't know, to go and take a look and spend at least, you know, a good 20, 30 minutes looking into what they do, watch their videos, read the comments, all those things, you know, like, so it's been good in that because I've learned to do that. But because all it takes is somebody to send me something saying, did you see this? And I'm like, I don't care who it is. I have, like, people have asked me to talk to Kent Hovind. Now, Kent Hovind may not be the hate-filled person. I mean, I think he does say some pretty shitty stuff. But there's no reason to give him a platform to read his script, right? He's going to say the same shit he says every fucking day. And so what I said was, I tell you what, if we can find a way to do that to where it's not just us, you know, arguing with the same things he said over and over, then I'll think about it. And then somebody came up with, well, let's take bingo cards and actually put down the things that Kent Hovind says in every argument. And then you can actually give those out. So not only will you be confronting his bad ideas, but we'll actually be just making complete fun of him at the same time. And I was like, well, that might be worth doing. Because then we could make something fun out of it and funny and all that. But as far as just like an intellectual debate with Kent Hovind, there's no.
You're not going to. I mean, he's not going to give you that.
Right. Yeah. First of all, it's.
And I mean, I understand. Like, maybe if you're not familiar with, like, like how Erica was when she was branded. Well, actually, yeah, how Erica was, how Dapper Dino was, how, I think AJ was, and, so many people, like you come in and you're just like, oh my God, I can fix him. And I think that you're not doing it for the community anymore.
Yeah.
If you want to like with AJ, he reacts to Kent, and that amuses the community. I think that's fine. To bring him to your platform, I think is unwise. Now, if you want to go to his platform, which he doesn't have anymore, I wouldn't. I think that might be beneficial because his audience needs to hear the counterpoints. Yours doesn't. There's no point in bringing him onto your platform, but going to his can only be helpful. So if you're good enough, but
Crystal's right on it here. Mr. Anderson does a great job of going and doing that. I don't think there's really anything to gain from me talking to Kent Hovind. I don't see and I get going to him and providing the counterpoints for the people there. I think there is a benefit in that. But I think there's people that do that and they do it way better than I could. So
no, I hear you. And I'm not saying you. Certainly you in particular. You're the greatest. You're the GOAT. But if I weren't talking about you in particular, just in general, I don't think that it's a good idea to bring apologists to your platform. You go to theirs because you're the one with the science. If you're the one with the science.
Yeah. Do you know who Lupin is?
Oh, no, I've heard the name, but it's not somebody that I follow or watch.
Well, Lupin's not. He's had some bad takes on some stuff, but he was wanting another one that wanted to come and debate. I forget what he even wanted to debate. Something about evolution, but he started making videos because he said, well, will you come over to my show and talk about it? And I was like, yeah, I'll try to drop in if I can. I don't know. I've got a lot of stuff going on. It was the night Ember did the interview. And so I didn't go because he wanted me to come at 7:30 and that was at 8:00. And I was like, well, I've got to do this. I've got to be there for this.
Yeah.
And he started making shorts calling me out, saying that I didn't show up and all this other shit. So
yeah.
I was like, all right, you want to talk to me? We'll fucking talk. So I went over to his show the other night, which I really don't. Again, there wasn't anything beneficial out of it, but it was kind of fun just dunking on him for about 30 minutes. That it has its satisfying moments.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't do it just because, just personally, I wouldn't do it. Not saying, well, I wouldn't do it, so you would know. It's not saying that. I know me, and I'm not going to be able to hold it together. If you start lying to me, or if you're not taking the conversation seriously, I'm going to start to respond in kind, and then it's just going to be this whole big dumpster fire of who could be quippier, and I'm not.
I found out. And again, this relates back to MDD and the thing with Matt and some other stuff too with that. But I found out through that I was like, I've been so focused on arguing with theists and wanting to just debate people and all this stuff. And that's totally the wrong direction to even look at this. And that's whenever I switched back and was like, no, I want to talk to atheists and talk about the things they do and talk about normalizing that community in that way. There's more to do there, because sure, there is a benefit into correcting bad ideas and there, but I feel like there's more work to be done on this side of it than the other. Arguing with a theist isn't going to get me anywhere other than high blood pressure. Whereas, talking to the people in the community, and especially those who are just starting or who have smaller channels than even mine, which my channel's tiny,
You have what, 200 more than my tiny community. So.
That wasn't the case a week ago. Yeah.
Congrats again. You deserve every single sub.
Well, thank you. You know what, man? Talking to like Aaron yesterday, so much fun, and it gives me a different view of it because like Aaron's the kind of guy I would love to sit down and drink beer with and have a conversation with. You know, like
Yeah.
he is such just a down to earth guy, but at the same time, you know, has those points and stuff. And I was so happy. I didn't care about like the views or any of that crap. In fact, YouTube played some weird games with that video, but I didn't care about the views and stuff so much as Aaron was talking to me and having a good time and laughing and smiling, and he was having fun, you know. And I thought, this is what it's about, you know, like let's talk about real things, but let's do it in a way and have fun and fuck all that YouTube stuff. Like, there's a time and a place for it, you know, like it's weird.
No, it was a good stream. Yeah. I mean, I was listening, and I think I was doing my thumbnail and running errands, and so I didn't catch every single word in it, but it was an interesting stream.
And then with Matt, really the biggest part of the stream with Matt was I just wanted to ask him about the deception thing and why, you know, like I don't hear people talk about it, and it's because he's never heard of it.
Deception thing? What do you mean?
So the problem of deception goes like this. If I give you that a God exists and supernatural things exist and all that stuff, and that the Bible is inspired by some, you know, supernatural being, show me that it's not actually the devil that wrote the Bible, because whenever you read it, the devil is the one that deceives people, or doesn't deceive people. The devil doesn't kill anyone, whereas God murders and lies to man and does all these awful things over and over. And when it describes the devil, it says that the devil can masquerade as an angel of light. So the devil has the ability to deceive us. And why did God create us with this ability to be deceived in the first place? Because in the garden, that's the first thing that happens. Man is deceived. What would be the purpose in that unless it's part of the plan, you know? And really, it's a trick in itself. But whenever you use deception, then you can fall back into the problem of evil, divine hiddenness, and those things, and say those things make sense in light of this. If it's all a deception, the problem of evil makes perfect sense. It's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And
so that's actually what I believed. I'm not saying that that's a Catholic belief, but that, I don't know. Like when I'm saying like, you know, you look at the world around you and you like kind of structure the Bible to make sense around it. Like that right there is one of the tricks I played on, you know, with myself. It's like, well, we're supposed to come here and be deceived, and those who can, you know, still get to God are deserving of heaven, and those who, you know, God doesn't want, you know, another rebellion. So, you know, if you choose the devil here, then you choose the devil for all eternity.
Right.
Yeah.
It allows you to also kind of take a different approach to things. Whenever, like Mark Stoney said the other day that the earth was created and made to look old. Like it's a deception. So
yeah, I wasn't that stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
No offense, Mark.
But yeah, it's an interesting topic, and I told Matt the same thing. Brandon at Mindshift does a video where he talks about it, and he does a great job because he points out the different verses that support it. In the Old Testament, the devil, which isn't really named in the Old Testament, but is described in the same way that God is later described in Revelation. The exact same words are used to describe God that they use to describe the devil. So prove to me that you're not actually just being deceived. And I already know the answer, that you can't. There's no way to do it. So why should I believe these things? That's where it circles back around at. But it's a whole big thing, and I'm working on it.
Matt had never heard about that.
It's really interesting when you get Jimmy Tux is really well versed in it too. Jimmy Tux actually goes a little further with it, but than I'm ready to go. But I'm still like studying a little bit about this and trying to understand it better. And eventually, I'm going to come out with an argument against the Christian God, that the Christian God definitely does not exist. as defined in the Bible anyway. But
Okay.
we'll get there.
Good luck with that. A lot of people have been trying for a really long time.
Well, I don't think it's going to be like definitive proof. I don't think you can say one way or the other. We have no way to assess supernatural beings. But it'll show that the Bible itself is not reliable in any way. And with it being the only source for this, there's nothing left after that. Nobody comes to believe in God without the doctrine and dogma. It's cultural and in one book. But anyway, I will. Let's wrap this thing up here. You've worked all day, and I want to let you. You had a late night last night. I didn't get to watch tonight's show. I heard it was good. But, I worked for 3
They're
hours.
all good.
They are all good.
Oh,
and
you're too sweet.
I haven't seen. I've watched a few of the older ones, but I haven't. I of course haven't watched them all yet. But I love. I just love the way you do it. It's fun. It's just it's a great way to talk about those kind of things that people want to talk about without actually breathing life into them.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect everybody to watch all of them, but I think Al was the only person that I know that said it's just well, and he found us some months ago. He's like, I binge watched all of the Bad Science Sundays, make some more.
I agree. Yeah, keep doing it. And I guess I'll join you over there in July.
Yeah, July, I think was the 7th.
Yeah,
I think you're the 7th, which is going to be fun.
What else you got going on? Anything else going on that you want to plug before we get out of here?
I think this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be on Tap and I are going to be on Wavelength, and then Ember's going to be on the show this Sunday.
Wavelength is a lot of fun, by the way. I've been on there a few times. I've done Deep Six at least 3 times. Not as I've only been the actual guest once, but I've came on just to fill up a panel. But it's a lot of fun doing those. I like it because it's not the same old shit. That's why we do trivia not here on Wednesdays, is because it's a chance
to shake it up a little bit. Yeah.
But I really look forward to coming on your guys' show because it's just so much fun, the way you guys do it. And
I wanted to do something that was I wanted to do something that was different. I'm like, everything's so saturated. Like, what could we do? And I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's starkly different. I mean, you can still, a lot of the stuff that we do, you can still get from Logic or Source 6, but I think it's different when you know everybody that's there.
Yeah, no, whenever we're going to have fun with this nonsense, we're going to go ahead and start with the fact that it's nonsense. Now let's have fun with it, and I think that's the right way to do that sometimes, and
you don't, for a lot of this stuff, you don't want to be too serious. You don't want to,
right.
It gives it credence. Like, wait, we should take, you don't want to be like, well, we should take creationism, seriously as we take evolution. Like, no, we most certainly should not. You laugh at Nazis and punch them. You don't take them seriously. We need to normalize that.
No, I agree. That's why I like it, because I spend so much time whenever somebody has some idea they want to come talk about. I have to go and research things and actually take it seriously and have a pen and a notebook laying around so that I can write down the stupid shit that they say and address it. And whereas with this, it's like, we're going to start from already knowing that this is bullshit, and let's then, let's have fun with it and talk about it amongst people who all agree that this is bullshit, instead of trying to argue a point. That's, to me, that's something that's needed more of in the atheist community. Not necessarily to do it the way you do. You're only you can do it the way you do. We've already been through this part. But
I don't know.
It's it's a lot of fun. And anybody who's watching who hasn't seen it, there's at the bottom of the screen is Maya's address, and she's also linked in the description. So please go check out Maya and subscribe. You will not regret it. As for this show, we got a whole bunch of people coming up. It's Sage will be on again this week. I've got Bree coming on. I've got Atheist Junior. I've got Godless Granny. I've got the Skeptic is coming on. I've got Neil 604 just agreed to come on. I just seen the email for it. So a lot of great guests coming up over here too. And I'm trying.
I need to circle back with Neil and Mikey. Because Neil had agreed to come on mine, but then he started having family issues, and I was just like, okay, yeah. But
the hardest thing for me is to set dates with people, and you know how you sent me the Google Calendar thing? That's how I do all my stuff now, and it's like, yes, that's because before it was like just make the link in StreamYard and then try to remember it, and
oh wow. Yeah, no, I love Google Calendar because it'll send people reminders on my behalf, and
I'm old now. Remember, I'm older than I appear, so I do.
Same, yeah, no, I'm 44, so I'm like, I can't be remember
that.
Yeah, no, it's like who's? Look, it's Ember. I vaguely remember doing that. Yeah.
Who are you again? What did we talk about? Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, because like you and I just solidified our date yesterday. It's for fucking July 7th. Like July 1st. I'm gonna be like, who's on in a week? Like, oh, hey, it's Joe.
Well,
I'm like, I don't remember.
Actually, something interesting about that is I'm having a lot of people come in that weekend because we're going to the Ark Encounter protest together.
Oh, do you move it?
So I'll be doing my show live that day. Me and Azzo will be together. Our guests will be there with us. It's all going to be so you'll actually get me at a good time. I'll probably be in a really good mood.
Okay. I mean, I'm feeling like you're going to be too tired to do it. I'm like,
no.
Okay.
All
right.
We're gonna so because the idea, at least the plan for now, I've never done this, so it's kind of it's going to be a mess, I imagine. But we will make it to the protest. A group of us will, and we're going to hang out and party a little bit over the weekend and meet each other and see how that goes. And then I'm going to use the conference room at a hotel and do the show live that day. So you may catch me from a hotel room that night. So, but I'll have all my stuff with me. So, but anyway, also, the other thing that was just posted here is catch our trivia shows on Wednesdays. It's we give away gift cards, and all you got to do is really show up and be there to win one. And it's a lot of fun. We don't talk religion and all that stuff. Just trivia. One more thing, Maya. One more thing, okay?
All right.
Thank you to all of these channel members. We have 80. Actually, we have over 80 members now. Thank you to everyone that supports the channel. But I also can't say that without saying thanks to Regios for gifting most of these memberships.
Regios. Oh my God, Regios has his own emote in my channel.
I guess I may have to look into that, right?
No, I'm gonna say that. I mean, very few people do that. Regios came out strong. Regios and Jedi, and I was just like, well, I'm looking for slots to fill, and you deserve it. So
I got messages from people that say, I don't watch atheist content, and I don't know why I got a membership to your channel, but I did. I'm like, you've interacted with me at some point. That's why I'm giving it to you. So
you had to have made at least one comment in the chat at some point.
Yeah.
Whether they knew it was atheist content or not. But
yeah, I guess with that, let's get out of here. Thanks everybody for
Right.
coming and watching. Have a great night. I will see you sometime this week. I'll do a member stream, I imagine, but I don't know.
All right. You haven't done. Did you do one last week?
I did not. What did
You've
I?
been a
Oh
busy
no,
guy.
I didn't do a member stream. I had Deviant Outcast on to do the Egyptology show instead because I felt like that was a really good topic.
Yeah.
But there will be one this week, and I'll post it as soon as I figure out when I can do it. One of the rainy days, I imagine. But thanks everybody for coming. Have a great night. Goodbye.